Hi everybody, I am Lady Stars of Fire. My real name is Michelle Espinosa, and this is the weekly healing messages for March 26th until April 1st. Now, I'm sorry, I'm burning a little bit of sage. We're coming to the end of Mercury retrograde. So, yeah, I'm burning a little bit of sage. We kind of need that extra healthier energy at this moment, and I want to keep it as much as possible that way. So, especially with me doing the video, I'm putting a little bit of sage into it this week. Now, if you haven't watched the videos before, you've never seen me do the videos, typically I do a little bit of astrology. I break it down on a universal level, and then I also give you whatever it is the Spirit's giving me for the week to help us move forward in the most positive and healing ways. That's why I call it the healing messages. And I also give you a rune cast if I've been given a rune cast, which I have. But I have so much to say going on, so I'm not sure if I'm going to really be able to get too much into depth on the runecast. We'll see how it looks on time, and so to speak, because I'm being given so much guidance right now. Especially just, it has to do with the Mercury retrograde coming to an end. Like I said, it has to do with this whole flip over period from the Mercury retrograde and the whole Pisces season of Jupiter getting ready to go retrograde, and then the full moon that's going to happen next month. I was saying all week last week, if you listen to the videos or that third video that I put out, the madman in your head is always talking, and you need to learn to change the channel, turn into a higher frequency. Basically, yes, that's true. But what I'm getting is, you are all my beautiful souls. Sweetie. Even in your shittiest time, in your darkest hour, you're still our beautiful souls. It's taken me so long to realize what Spirit was trying to tell me over and over and over again, because I keep seeing Spirit with people when they do some of the stupidest shit, and they just look at me like, you see what I have to deal with? But in the same sense, they're like, how can you not love this fool? No matter how bad it is, or how dark things are, or how confusing it is, no matter how unhealthy at the moment you are, you're still a beautiful soul. You may not be able to find it through all the murk and the mud and the dirt that's clouded around you. Deep inside, there's always the beautiful soul that's worth saving. And I do say saving. And I don't mean it in like the Christian way. What I mean it is, there's always the fight between soul and ego, and we always get confused. Guess what? Sometimes ego wins. Even if it's only for a moment. That's ego's freaking job. Ego's freaking job is to try to keep you from getting to what it is you can accomplish. So sometimes the little narcissist inside gets to talk a little too much. And with Mercury being in retrograde in Pisces right now, I'm not saying that everybody's having a hard time, but for those who are, the inner madman's been really just talking. And I'm saying that because as you come to the last 3 days of this Mercury retrograde, that inner madman is starting to talk more and more and more. It is okay to not be perfect. Not one of us are. Not one of us are. We all fall on our face and stumble and scratch the shit out of ourselves, get dirty, and have to get up and dust ourselves off and start all over again. That does not mean that it's acceptable to be an asshole. That does not mean that it's acceptable to treat people badly. It just means that's part of learning and evolving. You can't heal everything that I do. And I'm going into this because it has to do with where Spirit is taking me for this week as we move through this week's healing messages. Everything that I do with my spiritual path, with what I'm supposed to be doing, has to do with healing in one form or another. And I'm like the vulture. I say that all the time when I'm talking to Devin, the hill hippie, on Otherland Dreams, the show we do on FXBG Public Radio. Now, I say that all the time. I'm like the vulture. My job is to do part of the shit nobody wants to do. The vulture is going to make you get in and deal with the root of the problem. Sift all the way down to the bone. Find what it is. It's like a tree. A tree doesn't die until you rip the root out of the ground. Otherwise, it will continue to keep growing back. That's what healing is. You have to get to the frickin' root. That's what I mean by the vulture. Everything that I do on my spiritual path and these videos that I make are because it's about healing. And healing is getting to the root, and sometimes it's doing the work that nobody wants to do. And while you're doing that, you have to fall on your fucking face. Or you won't find where the root is. You won't find what you're in denial about and able to move forward. You can't get to the root and rip it out if you can't locate it. So everything that I do is in the event of helping bringing us to, a healing and soulful place. Because if you can't get right with soul, then you can't get deep with soul. And if you can't get deep with soul, you can't find love and forgiveness. And if you can't find love and forgiveness, you sure as hell are never going to find it your way to peace. And peace is where the whole point of it is. With that being said, I've been saying pretty much ever since December that I've been being given from Spirit what looks like the ferryman, or death, is on a boat. And at first he was on a boat and the Lady of the Lake was on another boat. They were like coming together. But then Spirit changed it and put the two of them on a boat. And was the message that I was getting from Spirit. Now, I don't like to go in and explain what that means because it may mean something different to you. But what they're giving me now is, now Death and the Lady of the Lake, they're still on this boat. And this has everything to do with as we're coming to the end of Mercury retrograde and we're starting to move forward. Because they're on this boat going together like towards Avalon. But what we hear in the journeying is like the ship's foghorn, or a foghorn in the distance, like as we're coming around the corner. So you take that and you do what you must with it. But that's basically what I'm being given. It's the foghorn that's the warning. It's also the cleansing and the purification. The Om that's coming to be is what I'm being given. I am being told by Spirit over and over again that right now, all of Mercury retrograde had a bit of a purging in it. And purging was not necessarily only about, being violent or a hard, destructive change. For some people, yes, that's exactly what had to happen. Destruction is a new form of rebirth. You have to get rid of and destroy what's no good, what's not serving you, what's unhealthy. Destruction must come in order for rebirthing to take place. But sometimes it doesn't have to be so violent. Depending on where you are on your path, then that's what took place. I am getting more of that purging is coming in because of that madman talking in the background, which is Mercury in his last few days of Mercury retrograde in Pisces in the water. Bring you back to the ferryman and the Lady of Avalon, or the Lady of the Lake, and the foghorn. But purging is a cleansing. Purging is purification. And you may wish to burn incense this week that have everything to do with it. Like for me, they give me dragon's blood. For you, it may be something else. They give me dragon's blood and they give me coconut as scents to help get through those energies. But like I said, this has to do with purifying for the new, cleaning out to make room for the new. And I'm being told this week as we move into this next month, a very big important thing for us all to acknowledge is, as we're learning to heal, we're learning to think for ourselves, we're learning to come into our power, we're learning what it means to be authentic without the bullshit of everybody else telling you what they think authentic is. Okay? We're coming into truly starting to understand and step into this power and not just understand the power, but to be the power of what that is. But don't make the mistake of trading one addiction, one bad habit, for another. Like I said, not one of us is perfect. You're gonna have bad days, and that's okay. Sometimes the madman is gonna win, at least a little bit. Talk you into some shit. It just depends on if you allow it to change the way you act and the way you treat people. Because you're learning how to be better. You're learning how to overcome the madman inside. The ego is always going to be smarter than you in ways of trying to trick you and keep you down. That's the ego's job, to keep you from becoming everything that you were meant to be able to become. So there are days that, I don't want to say you're going to be a shitty person, but there's days you're going to feel like shit. And then you get up, you acknowledge what has happened, why it has happened, you dust yourself off, you apologize if you must, and you move forward. That is part of learning. Plain and simple. But as we do this, we need to understand that as we're coming out of this Pisces season, especially because Neptune and Mercury are going to couple up this week. So is Saturn and Pluto, and they're going to be coupled up for a while. But don't forget, the South Node is sitting on top of that coupling. Nobody wants to talk about that. That is the important key there. Okay? And what I'm being told is your addictions, more or less. Your addictions, don't trade in one jail for another. Don't trade in one bad habit for another, because now you think you've stepped up and evolved past that, but actually ego has tricked you into a whole new jail cell. The idea is to break free and get into the authentic you. Learn to think for yourself. Learn when to say yes and when to say no, and what you honestly feel and what your opinion is. And sometimes, you know what? Sometimes in order to get there, you gotta shut the fuck up and go inward. Sometimes you gotta just shut up and take a me moment. And remember, like I said in that video last week, that third one, a blink in the way of energy is a long fucking time. A blink to us could be 20 years. You're starting a new path for the next 20 years. You're getting lessons re-brought up to you from the last 10 years and the emotions that are coming in with it because you're in Pisces season, which is bringing us back to Neptune, which is turning around and bringing us back into our intuition, our magic, our illusion, and getting into the core of all of what made us comfortable and uncomfortable. Why? And did we learn a lesson? That's what that's about. Don't trade in one bad habit or one addiction for another, because you'll just be putting yourself right back in that same cycle to start all over again without knowledge. Don't be unconscious to that. Make sure that you're aware. Now, Mercury this week is going direct, but don't forget, Mercury will still be in retrograde. Mercury is in retrograde until the 28th. It will be in shadow up until almost the 10th, when Jupiter will go retrograde in Sagittarius. Again, let me say it. Sagittarius with Jupiter is more or less your higher self telling you everything that you're not getting right. It's trying to tell you what you're not doing right and what you're not serving yourself properly, because you're still listening to all of the stuff that made you comfortable and you're afraid to make the changes. Jupiter is trying to point out these things and help you see them. Now, Jupiter is in shadow right now as Mercury is getting ready to go in shadow. This is also why Mercury retrograde in Pisces has so much to say and is knocking you down. Now, you also have Venus, which is moving into Pisces this week. On the 26th, it moves in. So it's just going to stir up the sensitivity even more. Here comes Neptune, as you see the camera moves. And then at the end of the week, on the 31st, you have Mars, which is moving into Gemini. This could be a good and a bad thing, really. It just depends on where you let your Mars energy take you. Mars is passion, action, fire, aggression, sexual energy. But in Gemini, I see Gemini as Jekyll and Hyde, and you're not really sure which side of Jekyll or Hyde you're going to get. You truly see all sides to all directions. But are you dealing with Jekyll or are you dealing with Hyde? So it's quick changes of thoughts and opinions. And you're adding, like I said, fire, passion, action, aggression, sexual energy into that. Like I said, at the end of the week. So that's going to start up a whole new set of energy as we shift. Now, this week, I am going to say a lot of it has to do with Chiron. Chiron is the wounded healer. What does the wounded healer want? It wants to heal the wounds. It's the gatekeeper of wholeness. And you can't get in to wholeness when you're not dealing with the wounds you haven't healed. And Aries. So it's in the beginning of a cycle. I mean, right now. And it's in the beginning of that cycle, and the sun's sitting pretty much right on top of it. So it's bringing extra illumination to what it is you need to heal. What it is that you're avoiding, and you just keep pushing into the back of the closet, and it's my skeletons, damn it, and I don't want to deal with them. And the skeletons are going, no, we're coming back out, haha, more or less. And they're making you deal with that energy right now. You're going to have a lot of karmic energy spitting in this week. And the South Node, okay, the reason why I get this energy so much is because the way that my natal chart is set up. Okay, first off, I was born with my South and North nodes in Capricorn and Cancer. But my chart actually has Cancer as my 10th house and Capricorn as my 4th house. And they're actually in the 4th house right now is the North Node. So in a way of putting it, reason I can understand this is it's flipped over and then flipped over again. It's like double flipped inside out. Going inward on a spiral, more or less. And so, as I understand my own self and my own cycles within my chart, it's helping me to understand what I need to be saying to you right now, because they're in the same kind of place of what I have to deal with all the time. So I understand this. And right now, what everybody's ignoring is that the South Node, Pluto, and Saturn are sitting on top of each other. And this is karmic energy. This is karmic energy of the public image, of the public job, the public self. It's also speaking to us of our prestige. It's speaking to us of our parenting energy and how it is we deal with that. It's speaking to us of our comfort zone. Your comfort zone is comfortable. You're not growing if you're in your comfort zone. The South Node is telling you what you've gotten good at. You've gotten good at it, but you might have gotten lazy with it too. You're not evolving. And this is why when it's sitting on top of Pluto and Saturn, it's really picking away at those rules, walls, and boundaries that need to be shifted and changed. And for it to help you spiritually, soulfully evolve in a healthy way in the outer community as well as within the root of who and what you are. It's a balance between inner and outer worlds. And that's basically what that energy is right now. And it's not going to go away anytime really soon. But everybody's talking about Saturn and Pluto. They're leaving out the key there, which is the South Node sitting on top of it. All right. Now, for this week, I'm also being given, you are going to be getting spiritual messages that you need to ground yourself for, and that you need to start taking action in spiritually, soulfully, meaning, like I said, go inwardly and listen. But I am also being given the deer and the moose. The moose, and the way this is coming in, has to do with courage, and has to do with strength, finding strength, or the strength card in the tarot. But the deer is definitely coming in, reminding me whenever the deer comes to me, and it has to do with the tree of life. It has to do with going through all worlds of your life. as you would in journeying as a shamanic practitioner, or however you might want to see it. You have the upper world, the middle world, and the lower world. We are dealing entirely with all three worlds within you. And this has to do with also understanding as you soulfully evolve. You cannot push anyone to do anything you want. You can only gently nudge them in the right direction. That also includes yourself. Because sometimes, like I said, you've got to fall on your face before you're going to move forward. Now, before I get into the astrology, though, I am going to tell you that Northeast this week and Hagulas are the runes. I have two sets of runes coming in and two sets of runes. Let me explain. The first set of rune energy is Hagulas and Northeast, and they are speaking to us of the energy of the week in general. It's the need to determine, the need of determination, the need of endurance. It is the need to find the inner fire. It is resistance and friction. It is karmic obstacles and what you must do to work through them. It is changing stress into strength, warming the cold from within, reminding us that every change is just a measure of our hidden strength. It's realizing what it is that you thought you lacked, you were always had within you. You always had within you. Hagula speaks to us of hailstorm crisis. It is the controlled crisis leading to completion. It is the inner harmony being found. But it takes place through transformation of the crisis in order to find the inner self-order. It is the crisis that will change one's life and direction. It is the cosmic seed reshaping hidden events and issues of past and the need of disclosure, to be disclosed, revealing patterns and the means of what it is you need to know and how to change those patterns. It indicates the presence of new people of greater gifts and powers within our life. So this is kind of like the storm coming in, or Thor's hammer, but not as hard. Because with Thor's hammer coming in, you don't know it's coming. You just get hit with it. This is an energy you felt coming in. It's coming to that, to the ohm. It's coming to, the spot of no return. It's coming to, we've hit it. We've knocked it off. We've knocked the person off the horse, more or less. Finally, we've hit that spot. Now what do you do? So the energy is that, but the second set of runes is telling you how to heal. What you need to do to heal yourself as you work through these energies. You have Isa and you have Induus. And Isa is ice, ego, water. It is retreat, but do not separate. It speaks to us of control, self-mastery. It is a necessary stasis of stillness. It speaks to us of intense concentration, but detachment is needed to detach from the outer world, but to be able to concentrate and really find the truth within it. The power point of the concentration. It is a challenging and frustrating time for you to turn inward, but it is necessary. It speaks to us in Induus of the seed, the godding itself. It is the world of inner experiences, our virtues, our common sense, our family wealth, our inner nourishment, how we can get that inner nourishment. It is withdrawal to strengthen our inner resources. And most of all, it speaks to us of our four: our emotional, our mental, our spiritual, and our physical. And if you're out of balance in any of those, then your one wholeness is out of balance. This is speaking to you of going inwardly to truthfully see the direction you need and what it is you need, not what you want, what you need. Okay? And that's how the runes say you are to help move yourself forward. This week, though, in the astrology, we have a chain reaction that's lasting all week, but it's more or less lasting all month. Okay? You have the North Node in Cancer, which is speaking to you of your karmic self, your roots of what created you to be, who and what you are and why, and the home in general. It is telling you what you need to learn in order to move forward. Listen to that energy, because there's something there that's important for you to learn, or you're not going to move forward. And that's that. It's going to be there all month. It's speaking with Neptune, though, even though it will be shifting a little bit as the energies shift, like it's speaking with Neptune and Mercury as they're coupling this week. So this is giving you a spiritual compassion that maybe you weren't seeing before. But don't follow illusion, because Neptune's tricky that way. Okay? Spiritual compassion that maybe you didn't see before because you're going from retrograde into shadow of Mercury. But it's coupling with Neptune in Pisces in the waters with all of these energies. So you're taking what you need to learn soulfully with the root of who and what you are in order to move forward, and bringing in a soulful compassion and being able to communicate in a different way, coming from our inward energy back to outward. But make sure that you're seeing the truth. You're not getting an illusion. Because it's speaking also in a sextile with that south node, Pluto, Saturn. And again, this has to do with rules, walls, and boundaries for a spiritual, soulful change to help you become where and what you seek to become. But in this energy, there is something that's telling you you're in your comfort zone. And if you're in your comfort zone with these rules, walls, and boundaries, and what you believe is a good combination, because changing is just not comfortable, then you're not evolving. You're not moving forward. You'll stay where you are, because it is going right back and squaring that north node. So the north node and the south node always are in complication with each other. They're always telling you your inner and your outer balance is, at least right now while they're in Capricorn and Cancer, they're talking about the karmic core of who and what you are, as well as your balance between your inner and your outer worlds, your public, your prestige, your parenting, the comfort zone, changing the balance and the root. You have to change the root. So now we have to rip out the root to change it and get out of our comfort zone. And I'm saying this has to do with finding a new healthy growth as you move forward. But like I said, this energy is going to be there all month, but it will be shifting a little bit with what's going on, mainly with what's going on inside of Pluto. Not Pluto, inside of Pisces energy. You do have another chain reaction this week alone. Up until the 31st, Mars is still in Taurus. Then it moves into Gemini. All right, but Mars and Taurus is still talking to us about, our passion, our action, our aggression, our warrior, our inner SWAT team, and the energies of self-worth, self-value, and self-esteem. And it's speaking it's speaking with Pluto and Saturn and the South Node again in Capricorn. This is also helping you find a new structure, build a new structure, erect a new structure for your life, that's soulfully moving you forward. But you've got to get past where you're comfortable. You've got to step out of that comfort zone. Because the comfy zone isn't going to help you move forward and make those rules, walls, and boundaries change so that you are eventually going in the direction you want. Mars, your inner warrior, your inner SWAT team, is speaking to you about helping you see what needs to happen in positive ways so that it can ignite that fire and help you shift those rules, walls, and boundaries. But understand, again, what the key is there is getting out of the comfort zone. If it's been something that you've been doing for a long time, but it may not be serving you anymore, it's not working anymore. That's what it comes down to. Now, Mars is also squaring Lilith this week, and Venus. So Lilith in Aquarius is, the way I explain Lilith is, nobody's going to make me do a goddamn thing I don't want to do. That's that. Nothing's going to make me do a thing I don't want to do. I am the rebel inside of the Aquarius. So it's like a double rebel. And in a sexual kind of energy, because she's feminine, she's bringing in that feminine energy of, I could stand in my power all day. Don't you think that I can't? With her head just a-rolling and let me know. Let me tell you, basically, she is not getting along with your inner warrior. So she's fighting you about what you need to change. She's fighting you about where you're in your comfort zone, because she doesn't want to change. Remember, she's ego. Okay? She is going to be not getting along with you and your self-worth, your self-value, your self-esteem. She's trying to kind of be that ego that keeps you down by making you feel like you're standing up for yourself when actually you're not going anywhere. Venus is not getting along with his energy either. Venus is not love. Venus is your sensitivities, physical and spiritual and emotional. And when it's uncomfortable, there's a reason it's uncomfortable. And it's because it's not getting along with the self-worth, the self-value, and I started to say self-destruction, but maybe that's exactly what it is. In some cases, there needs to be a self-destruction. There's never a reason for why we say the things we say. I mean, never not a reason. If it was coming out that way, some people need to have a self-destruction so that they can rebuild and rebirth. And she's telling you those sensitivities aren't serving you anymore. Okay, because this energy is sextiling Jupiter, and sextiling Jupiter in Sagittarius, which is also sextiling Ceres, Ceres. I think I always pronounce it wrong, but that's your higher self. It's your higher self. What did I just say? Your higher self is trying to tell you about what it is that you're not doing to get it right. What you're comfortable with is you don't want to change. And when you're comfortable, you're not evolving, you're not moving forward. Your higher self is trying not to smack you down, but to say, hey, this isn't serving us anymore. This is what we're not doing right, because you can't get to me. You can't get to the authentic self that is you, because you're not getting these things right. This is why you can't step in your power, into full, honest power. And remember, Ceres, or Ceres, however you pronounce that, Ceres, is karma too. Right back with it. It is the threefold theory. It is what you put out comes back. It is what's too close to home as well, that energy. So it's coming in very touchy. This week's going to be intense, okay? You also have Mars, like I said, until the 31st, which is still in Taurus, is speaking to us of our self-worth, our self-value, our self-esteem in areas that deal with Mars energy, our inner SWAT team, our action, our passion, our aggression, our warrior. Is sextiling Chiron. Wasn't coming out of my mouth. Chiron. Chiron is the wounded healer. So the freaking wounded healer is going with you. Just fucking listen. Is saying, this is what I know you need to do. And I know you're scared and uncomfortable with making these shifts and changes, or standing up for yourself in such a way. But these are things you need to do. So, take your power back. That's basically what Chiron is trying to get you to do. It's in the universal first house of Aries, with the sun illuminating everything it needs. It's telling you every key that you need to have to start to move yourself in the right direction. Do you have the strength, the courage, and the power to do it? Is what we're talking about here. Because it's also talking to Vesta in a sextile, which is giving you those opportunities to heal. Because Vista is the soul. It's the home and the hearth. It is the karmic you now. The home and the hearth of what this body represents of this life. Okay? Now you have Uranus this week is also sextiling Lilith and Venus. So Uranus, your individuality, your uniqueness, your freedom, your inventive nature comes out of Uranus. It is the shock and awe. Okay, and it is in Taurus too, speaking with you also about your self-worth, your self-value, your self-esteem. And even though it's not really close to Mars, it's still picking up that Mars energy. And it is sextiling Lilith. It's giving you just enough ego to push you out there to get you to do what you need to give you the opportunity to stand in your power. Just make sure that you don't let it go into narcissisticness, more or less. But it's giving you just enough power to be like, no, you know what? No, this is not good for me, and no, we're not doing this shit anymore. And then stop it. Don't go completely overboard with it. But you know how to get what you need to get out there. The sensitivities are going to push you to go in that right direction because you must. That's what you must do to move forward. But like I said, you were given this week also Isa and Induus, which is speaking to you of your four, your independence. Not your independence. Your four, your emotional, your mental, your spiritual, your physical. That creates your oneness. But Isa is asking you, take some time. Separate. Go inward. And evaluate what it is you need for your proper inner nourishment, your inner resources. How are we going to strengthen them? take this energy and take it inward and figure out what you need to do. And when it's properly the right time, step it up and send it out. That is what I'm telling you this week. Now, you also have Uranus in Taurus, which is squaring that south node, Pluto and Saturn. So your independence, your individuality, your uniqueness, your freedom, your self-worth, your self-value, your self-esteem is questioning the comfort zone. It's questioning the rules, the walls, the boundaries, and it should be questioning them because there's changes that need to be made. You need to step out of the comfort zone. You're not evolving if you don't. It's how are we going to make ourselves come, full circle. Even if we can't do it right now, at least where's the direction of bringing us full circle into the direction we need to be for our soulfulness, for our spiritual happiness, for our soulful life, to live a more enjoying life. So what are those rules, walls, and boundaries that need to change and be shifted so we can? But we have to have the balls enough to understand, to get that inner nourishment of our self-worth, our self-value, our self-esteem, and stand up for our freedom, and then stand up to make the changes that actually need to be made. That's courageous. That is the roar of the lion. That is what the roar of the lion is about. It's the energy of, it's my energy and you can't have it. So reclaim it, baby. And all week long, though, the moon has got its own conversations going on. The moon on the 25th and the 26th is in Sagittarius with Jupiter and Ceres, or Ceres, Ceres, I might be saying it wrong. Monday and Tuesday, the moon is in Sagittarius, sitting on top of your soulfulness. It's sitting on top of your higher self. It's emotionally speaking to the higher self and what it is you ain't been listening to. That's why it's also tweaking in here right now, because it's emotions. And it is speaking with Neptune, which is coupling with Mercury and Vista. It is also speaking with Chiron and the Sun. So it is getting into the nostalgic. What I'm being told right now is when you look back into Neptune's energy and the creation of it, the magic of it, the spiritualness, the soulfulness, the happy, joyful magic that Neptune can create, but you're looking backwards. And you're looking back at memories. Your memory is your memory. It might be a great memory. It might be a shitty, sucky memory. The point is, that's your memory. The other person who holds that memory may not view it the same as you. Just because you remember looking back and it being a great loving experience does not mean that the other person saw it the same. This has to do with the illusions that are set in front of us right now and aren't going to come clear until, almost mid-month of April. Like I said, you're not going to fully see the light of all of this until mid-April. I really would push after the 10th, but you might get lucky and see the light of it before the 10th of April. When I'm saying mid-April is when you should really start to see the full circle come into effect. Remember, you have your higher self might be telling you what it remembered and what your emotions were. But it might also be telling you that's only what you remember. That's not really what the truth was. Because the other person may not see it that way at all. Remember, it's not always about us. It is a oneness, even though you may not understand it. Now, the moon is going to be in Capricorn on the 27th, 28th, and the 29th. And that means it's going to be crossing that Pluto, the south node, and Saturn. So our emotions of those rules, walls, and boundaries, that comfort zone, and what we're afraid to change. And the spiritual soulfulness that we're not getting is going to be tweaked on the Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday because the moon's going to be crossing through that. And it's going to be speaking to you about the foundations that aren't quite set right. They're on shaky ground. And it is going to be speaking directly across, again, to Neptune and Mercury, which are coupling. And this is right when Mercury is coming out of retrograde. Don't forget, it's still going to be in shadow, looking at some darker aspects. It might be communication outward, and it's not just all babble in your head anymore. But now you're getting into, or you're going to be turning it into word vomit when it's outwardly. And with Mercury, like I said, is bringing a spiritual soulfulness to the communication of Mercury. So you really want to watch the illusion of what really is true and what is not. What magic is being created versus what am I just going to spit right out of my mouth? Think before you speak, basically. And like I said, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, as it's going through, the moon is crossing over Pluto, Saturn, and the North Node. It's also going to be speaking again with Sun and Chiron. So speaking again about what it is you need, the wounded healer needs. What does the sun illuminate from the wounded healer right now for the gatekeeper of wholeness to be able to hand you the fucking keys? Because that's exactly what this is about. Finding the keys. How do I locate the keys? And what freaking door do I put them in so that I can make this work for me? Listen to that intuition. Listen to that soulfulness. Like I said, Jupiter is giving you cues left and right, trying to tell you what you're not getting right. But if you overanalyze and you overthink, then you're going to get it wrong anyway. You've got to learn to know when the gut and the soul is talking to you versus questioning and just assuming that it's something bad. Sometimes the only reason it feels like it's something bad is because you're afraid to take the chance. You have to learn to understand and maneuver that a little bit better. Now, you also have, last but not least, on the 30th and the 31st, the moon is now in Aquarius, where you're emotionally ready to be the rebel within. And it's going to be talking with Lilith, which is going to back up that rebel within. And it's not going to be getting along with Uranus in Taurus. Your independence, your individuality, your uniqueness, your freedom, your self-worth, your self-value, your self-esteem. Watch your word vomit. I know that Mercury is not in this communication, but I'm warning you. Watch your word vomit, because this is a square. Something is going to be fighting you about not getting your self-worth, your self-value, your self-esteem. It's stepping in the way of your freedom, because the outer community and the emotions coming from there is going to be trying to push your buttons. So watch what you do, and you'll be okay. But understand there's a lesson there. Now, it is getting along great, again, with Chiron. I told you, Chiron has got all kinds of energy going on this week. The wounded healer has got messages for you. And the only way you can receive those messages is to get to the root of the problem. The gatekeeper of wholeness is trying to help you find the keys and the doors to put those keys in. So, listen to what is not getting healed. What are you still pushing into the back of the closet? And, okay, so it's not back there and I don't see it. Because that's the shit that's going to be coming up. I don't see it's not there. We're going to put a wall right over in front of it, and I'm going to pretend it never existed. That's the shit that's still coming out of the woodwork. Okay? Now, like I said, it's going to be speaking to Jupiter again. It's sextiling Jupiter. It's trying to help you find what it is you're not doing right. Because it's got to spin you in a new direction to get you come full circle by next month's full moon. I love you. Believe in yourself, and remember, we all fall down, we all stumble. Learn the lesson, pick yourself up, and say, I'm sorry if I have to, and then move on. As you do that, you learn how to heal the root, and you learn how to find and step into your power and reclaim it. Bye, everybody.